Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Breaking Barriers Now podcast. I am your host, Jody Watkins. You guys, today I have this amazing woman on the show. Her name is Brenda Warren, aka the Soulutionist. This woman is phenomenal. I am so grateful that we've been able to link up over the past few months since she's become a part of the Convene Communities platform. She is building out her own community, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, eventually later. But she's got a story, you guys, and you're gonna want to make sure that you listen, share. Also, make sure if you haven't already done it, subscribe, follow the podcast, and let's keep breaking barriers and sharing these amazing stories of these mental health things that we've all gone through. So that way we can actually help people break their own barriers. So, Brenda, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Jody. I'm excited to be here today.
Definitely, definitely. We were talking offline a little bit. We've been talking about doing this for a long time,
Yeah,
and I was actually done recording for the season, and I said, "Nope, nope, nope. We got to get this one in. We got to get this one in." So, so we got her in today. She was able to put it on her schedule, and we got it going. So today you get to listen to her story. It's going to impact you on a whole nother level. It definitely had a huge impact on me when I listened to it. But she's going to talk about some of the barriers that she had to break in her own life, and what she's doing now to help others do that as well. So again, welcome. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you came from, and 45 minutes or less. No, actually. I always say that. It's so funny, and people be like, "What?"
what? Yeah, well, Jody, first, I'm so grateful that you took the time to invite me to the show and that you made an exception for me to allow me to be here. So thank you for that because I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time.
For
And
sure, for sure.
listeners out there, this is an amazing woman that I'm so grateful that our paths crossed and that we are now connected. Jody,
Definitely.
for your listeners that may not know me, I am Brenda Warren. I'm a retired Marine gunnery sergeant, a former hospital administrator, a best-selling author. I'm known as the Soulutionist. I help the voiceless find their voices. I'm known for my talk show, Talk to Me, where I help authors, veterans, and entrepreneurs turn their mess or their mission into a message for the masses. I'm also a
Love it.
transition coach that helps women in transition from like empty nesters or divorce or just trying to make a career shift. I teach them how to live their lives unapologetically unstoppable. I help them live in the now with no opportunity wasted as they tap into their best versions of themselves using a method I developed called the tap in method. But it hasn't always been that way, Jody. So
Ugh.
that's what we're going to be talking about today.
It's and that's why I love doing this, because I always tell people, like, we all have a story. We look at people and we think that they got it all together and stuff like that, but nobody sees, like you said, the mess that we had to go through to get to
Yes.
where we are, right? And so I'm just, like I said, I'm really grateful that you were able to come on, because I can't wait to hear what you went through to get to where you are, and to be able to share that with the listeners out there.
There's so much, and I'm not sure where you want me to start. So I think I'll just start in 2011. And if you want to talk about stuff from when I was little, we can. But in 2011, there was a shift in my life because that's when I was first diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a retired Marine gunnery sergeant, 20 years active duty. Very, very little combat, but combat nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2011, my world started falling apart and I really didn't know what was going on. So I went to the VA and I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and military sexual trauma, MST. So I was so ashamed and so embarrassed that I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my
Mm-hmm.
husband, my family, my friends, my coworkers, I told no one. I got the medication and I tried to pretend like everything was okay. That was the wrong thing to do, Jody, because by
Right.
2013, I had a complete mental breakdown.
Mm.
And after that, I ended up sitting on my couch for 8 years, basically eating Doritos and drinking Diet Pepsis, gaining weight, feeling sorry for myself.
Mm.
And then one day I got tired of feeling sorry for myself and I got off the couch and I started walking in my driveway, um, just posting on Facebook talking about trying to get my life together while I was helping other people get their life together. And I began to talk to those people that I had already been helping. Because see, the thing was funny about that, Jody, is all while I'm sitting on my couch, not living my best life, I was still coaching and teaching
Yeah.
other people how to live theirs. Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing?
Isn't that crazy how we can
It's
do that?
crazy. It's so easy. When I look back on it, I have to laugh now.
Yeah.
But even fast forward from that, that was a while. I lost 65 pounds and my things were starting to get better. My mind fog was starting to clear, but my 23-year marriage was disintegrating.
Mm.
My connection with my child was terrible. I just, I hit rock bottom and I found
Yeah.
myself holding a bottle of pills.
Mm.
I was like, I can't do this anymore. But thank God for the crisis hotline and that press one for veterans, where you get somebody to kind of talk you off that ledge. And the
Mm.
guy on the other end of the line talked to me for about 2-3 hours. And he finally said, hey, you seem like somebody that helps a lot of people. And why don't you help yourself today? Take one of those, get yourself some sleep, because I hadn't slept in 5 days. And for those of you,
Wow.
if you don't sleep for 5 days, I mean, really, no sleep at all, 5 days, you start hallucinating and doing all
Yes.
that you would not normally do if you're in your right
Yeah.
mind. But I took his advice because I gave him my word, and I'm very big on my word. I gave my word I would. So the next day I got up and I walked in the driveway praying and begging God for the answer. And this thing popped up on my phone about a thing called the Be on TV boot camp. Jody, that was a pivotal moment in my life. I
Mm.
said, I don't want to be on TV, but okay, whatever. And I put the phone down, but then I picked it back up and it said it started that day. That was July 27th, 2019.
Wow.
That day is important because that day I met Jen and Chris at Super Connected Media and they asked us to write out our badass moments, Jody. So I did. But here's the kicker. They wanted us to now get on Facebook and tell everybody what we wrote.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, what? Well,
If you're not used to that, it's hard, right?
right. Now I've been walking telling everybody, have your best life. It's okay when it's about them, but it was just
Right.
about me.
Right.
But I did. And when I did, the outpouring of love and support was overwhelming. But there was
Yeah.
one person that stuck out. There was a lady. She says, I'm a white woman from Iowa, and you may not want to hear this, but I'm glad you didn't take those pills. She
Mm.
said, my child had just committed suicide in
Mm.
Germany, and I had not been able to take care of my kids. But because I saw you walking in your driveway, talking about your challenges, I'm now feeding my other 4 kids.
Wow.
And she used the term, she said, you gave voice to my child. And that's
Mm.
when the Voice of the Voiceless was born, because that baby didn't have the words. And I said, how dare I squander this opportunity when there are people, not just that baby, but other veterans that are no longer have
Right.
a voice to speak up. I want to be that voice. I didn't know what that looked like or even what it sounded like. And then people were coming in and saying how they felt like I touched their soul and different things. So that's where the Soulutionist was born.
Mm.
A long story short, this event that I was in, they had a competition. Well, they had a grand prize, and the grand prize was was basically coaching from the top PR, one of the top PR firms in New York, and all
Mm.
all this really cool stuff. I put a sticky on my thing saying I'm the grand prize winner. By the end of that week, I was the grand prize winner for the Be on TV.
Wow.
And someone
That's
saw
awesome.
me from the badass moment and asked me to be on another show called Brooklyn TV.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was offered my own TV show. And so for 6 months, I had my own TV show that broadcast around the world
Wow.
called The Editor's Desk. Now, I'm doing all of this while I'm broken, while I'm
Yeah.
depressed, while I'm still contemplating, do I want to be here on this planet? And everybody
Mm-hmm.
around me is going, oh, look at her life and da 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 da. But the
Yeah.
truth is, I was broken, I was hurt, I was depressed, and I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I was still moving forward. And thank God for those people around me that began to recognize that I was drowning in plain sight and offered support.
Yeah. Mm. Wow.
And I think that opportunity was just the beginning of me really beginning to walk in my own power, because as I gained popularity and people were asking me to speak, asking me to come do things, having me be places, I then had to deal with the imposter syndrome. because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people want to listen to me. I'm barely getting out of bed.
That's
literally
been
go,
there.
I would literally go through a television show or a speaking engagement and speak in front of hundreds of people. And then I would go sit in my bed and curl up in a fetal position and cry for hours.
Mm.
But all people saw was this.
Yeah. People see what
For
they want to
those who,
see.
yeah, for those who just not listening, I'm doing the princess wave
Yes.
because I know
Yeah,
there's
if you're
some
not
people
on
love
video,
watching.
yeah.
Right. And the thing is, on the outside, I
Yeah.
look pretty put together, but on the inside, again, broken, Jody. Just
Yes.
I wasn't tapping into my best life.
Yeah.
I wrote a book, became a #1 bestseller. I'm telling all these people this stuff, and it was crazy because it's easy to tell other people to live your best life, to walk in your
Yes.
power, but sometimes we fail to turn that love and concern on ourselves. Here's the
Yes.
good part, Jody. There came a time in my life when I stood in front of a full-length mirror and looked at myself and said, okay, Brenda, it's time for you to tap in.
Mm.
Because when I was asked to write that book originally, there was even no thought about other people reading the book. That book was based on what was I going to do to get out of the hole.
Mm.
And that's how the tap in method was developed, because I knew, number one, I had to change my mindset. I
Yeah.
had to make a definite decision that I was no longer going to sit on that couch eating Doritos, getting fat. I had to announce to the world that my life's about to change, and then I had to get me some accountability.
Yes.
Then I had to prepare myself for the breakthrough I knew was about to come, because I knew I couldn't do what I used to do. So I had to hire a personal trainer. I had to hire a coach. I had to go get professional help.
Yeah.
I put a gym in my house. I changed my eating. There was a lot of things I did to prepare for my breakthrough. And
Mm.
then, Jody, I began to imagine what my life would look like when I let go of the fear. What is fear? Future events already ruined. When I
Oof.
began to embrace and visualize the life I wanted to live, I said, Jody, I want to be an international uh, speaker. I want to be a best-selling author. I want to impact women's lives all over the globe. I want to be the global tapping queen. I began to set goals for myself and said, well, I figure I'll be international in the next 2 years. I'm gonna write this book and then write another book in the next year and a half. I'm going to be able to do what I do and reach people all over the world. I gave myself 2 years, Jody.
Mm.
I became international in 8 days. I became an international bestseller in under 2 years. I'm
Wow.
now on my fifth book, two collaborations. One collaboration, the daddy-daughter dynamic, which I'm very, very excited about. 12 other women and myself, headed by our lead author, Focus James, have written a book in compilation about our experiences with our fathers. And the
Mm.
daddy-daughter dynamic is coming out soon. I wrote
Wow.
a business book with my accountability partner, Lisa DeShorm, and it is the truth about how to save money and time with amazingly simple business tips. So that book is coming out. I've written 2 children's books that are currently being illustrated. I wrote the second edition to my book, Soul Searching, Get on Board for Transformation,
Nice.
Tapping Method, and I'm now working on a relationship book. I
Mm.
imagined all of this for myself, and it's coming to pass. And then the last step in my tapping is to nurture those thoughts, is to
Yeah.
begin to live in an attitude of gratitude through journaling and doing things like this, speaking and letting people know that it is possible to tap in to the better version of yourself. When
Mm-hmm.
you let go of your limiting beliefs, I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too this, I'm too that.
Yes.
I was so caught up in body image because I had so much weight, and I had to learn sexy is not a dress size. I had to
Hmm.
take the braces off my brains and begin to embrace everything about me, Jody. The
Yeah.
good, bad, the ugly, flaws and all.
Yep.
I had to reintroduce myself to myself. I even created a course, and it's called Nice to Meet You, Let's Tap In.
Mm.
Because most of us don't even know who we are.
Yeah.
So all of that came out of the pain, all of that pain that I went through since 2011 has been poured into these books that I'm writing, have been poured into the speaking engagements that I show up in, and have been poured into the clients that I support as they make their own breakthroughs, as they tap in to their own unique genius. Because I believe, especially when it comes to women, we need to stop apologizing for shining bright.
Yes.
So I don't think
Yes.
none of us, we need to stop dimming our lights. And because I believe nobody, and I do mean nobody, man, woman, or child, should dim their light. I think that if we would understand that our lights don't have to dim because somebody else's lights shine, we can just shine brighter together,
Yes.
that would help us. And when it comes to women, I really do want them to live unapologetically unstoppable,
Yeah.
because we apologize for our weight. We apologize for our appearance. You know, social media got so many of us so jacked up. I was
Yeah.
so happy when I discovered that, as they say, Tyra Banks don't even look like Tyra Banks. Filters,
Yeah.
makeup, and as
Yeah.
my friend's son say, layers of lies. I let go of all of that stuff
Yeah.
to just embrace myself just as I am.
Yeah. That's so good. That is so good. And it's such a huge weight. Like, yeah, and I tell people all the time, like when I was in my best physical shape, when everybody was like, oh, and I'm on stage bodybuilding and stuff, I was mentally falling apart. No
Mhm.
one saw any of it because I was putting on the mask. I was going out into the world and that's all I was, that's all it was. And so it doesn't matter what people look like on the outside. And like you said, with the social media and stuff, I tell people like, stop comparing yourself to that.
Yeah.
Just show up as yourself, and that's something I had to learn too. So I love that you're talking about that and speaking on that. Let's talk about, because you were talking about the daddy daughter thing.
Mhm. Daddy
How
daughter
did
dynamic.
Yeah, like, so what was your upbringing like? Was your dad not there? Like, because now I'm curious. Like,
For me, the daddy daughter dynamics project has been such a game changer for me of dealing with my own internal why things are the way they are. One of the issues for me was I had no trust.
mm,
My trust issues, because of I had an alcoholic father that was not there. And it wasn't until later in his life that we even had a real relationship.
mm,
So my trust of men was non-existent.
right.
And it really was hard for me to even trust God, because when my physical
Mm-hmm.
father here behaved in a way, but they always would say, well, God is your father. I'm like, well, my father sucks. So
Yeah.
if God is like that,
Same here.
I want nothing
Yeah.
to do with it. So then when I would get into relationship with men, my fear of abandonment, my trust issues led to 3 different marriages and 3 different divorces.
Mm,
Because when you have an issue with trusting not just other people, but here's the kicker, Jody, I didn't even trust myself.
exactly.
And
Yes.
so that's why I've decided to do the work before I enter into another relationship, because I understood that I don't want to take nothing from my ex to my next. And how
Right.
that has helped me with the daddy daughter dynamic, because by revisiting my relationship with my father, it actually helped me to revisit my relationship with God, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm that person. Like, if you're familiar with Star Trek, Captain Kirk had this thing he called the Kobayashi Maru. You know, it's always a way out.
Yeah.
I'm that person. I can my husband used to say I could plan a trip to the bathroom, and that's the truth. I could, because I'm a planner. But
Yeah.
I always have a plan A, plan B, plan C. And with
That's
saying to God, okay, God, I know you got this, but just in case you don't have,
that. Yes. Oh my goodness. We could do a whole
this is
podcast
our
on
right.
that.
Sister got a
Yes.
plan. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because I didn't even trust God to do what God said.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Oh
the
my
daddy
goodness.
daughter dynamic has helped me really revisit what father means to me. And I'm
Yeah.
happy to say that my relationship with God is strong right now,
Yeah.
because I understood that my human father, flawed as he was just a man. He definitely wasn't God.
Right.
And I also understand
Yes.
that my father did the best he could with what he knew. He's a human. He was a man. He
Yeah.
had his own hurts and pains and things that he was living out. But that lack of him being in my life did cause a lot of issues for me with how I deal with others, especially
Right.
how I dealt with the opposite sex.
Mm-hmm.
So now, as I wait for that chocolate brother with the rock hard abs, and I'm sure he's watching me right now.
Yes.
I've done the work so that I could properly treat him like the king that he deserves to be treated, and that I've done the trust issue work that I
Yeah.
know I could extend the trust that I didn't extend to the previous people in my life.
That's so good. That's so good. And you guys, look, that is so true. I can definitely, oh, like I said, we could do a whole nother segment on that because I can definitely relate to that. And my upbringing was a little bit different, but similar. The same way, my real dad left when I was 3, and then my stepdad was drug addict, schizophrenic, beat my mom. Right. So
Mhm.
that's what I grew up. So when you were talking about the how you had to learn how to trust God and call Him your Father, yeah, I went through all that too. And I think people need to hear that because there's a lot of other people out there who are dealing with that. And if anything, you guys, as you're listening to these stories, if you can just open yourself up to the possibility
Yeah,
and what she said with your dad was just a man
just
going through his own stuff. And so that cannot go with you throughout your life, which I had a lot of issues with men too, right? Like it's just that's what happens. That's what happens. But we have to do the work. And like you said, you're doing the work and I'm doing the work. And as long as we're doing the work, we get to show up better for the other people around us. So I appreciate you sharing that. I was just kind of curious, how that tied in.
I would say this too, Jody, is for anyone that's listening, people fear saying they didn't trust God or that they don't trust God. But
Hmm.
that I'm that person. I question everything. I think very logically in some respects. So I was like one of them people, God, you got to prove yourself because I know you
Yeah.
God and all that. However, comma, I'm not feeling you. And
Right.
you know the best part about God is He will let you not feel Him. He
Oh,
will
I
let
know.
you not
I
believe
know.
because I always say this thing. I think now I laugh about it because I was just telling a friend there were days when I realized God is not sitting up in heaven, running around with His hair on fire, going, oh my God, did you see what just happened to Brenda? That's not God's story. God is sitting
Uh-uh.
there saying, look at her, my baby, poor thing. She'll figure it out in a little bit.
Should
I got faith in her. She's gonna figure it out, and when she
Yeah.
does, when she opens her mind, when she takes the braces off her brain, when she takes the limits off me, watch what happens in her life. I'm living that life now because Jody, I'm telling you, if you had told me in 2019, July 26th, when I held those pills in my hand, that I would
Mm.
live the life I live right now, speaking to men and women all over the globe on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
heading masterminds, writing courses, writing books, standing in front of audiences. I'd have told you were on hallucinogenic drugs.
Yeah.
But God had a plan for my life. He ain't done with me yet.
Oh no.
So I get to help other people see the possibilities of living a life on fire, unapologetically unstoppable, knowing that if I could do what I've done in this short of time, and I truly believe it's nothing but the grace of God that I could do this, um, that it's possible for anybody.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, do you want it? Are you willing to
Yes.
open up your heart and open up your mind and tap into everything that God, and I don't even have a problem saying the universe, source,
Right.
that
Whatever you
you,
believe in.
whatever you believe in, that you have a right to have.
Yes.
Because so many of us get caught up in the verbiage, the language of, you can't say manifest. Okay, you know what? Then say faith. I don't care what you call it.
Right.
The principle is the principle. Sowing and reaping is real.
Yeah.
Like
It's
I
so
don't know
true.
why people get caught up in the semantics of the words we say, but I've learned to speak the language of my audience.
Hmm.
And that part too has been amazing. And I think it's amazing that we can begin to understand that life is so much more rich and has so much more to offer us than we often even accept.
Right.
I mean, just think about what had to happen for you and I, based on our backgrounds, to sit here today in our right minds. I don't know about you, but I
Yeah.
grew up in the projects. I'm a child process of an alcoholic father and a workaholic mother.
Mm.
praying grandmother, and with all of that, still dealing with the life that allowed me to see pimps and prostitutes and drug
Mm.
addicts and murders and stuff on a daily basis.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps was my escape. I went in 2 days after graduating from high school because I knew there had to be a better life than what I saw growing up. I wanted to escape from all the pain and hurt that was my childhood. And the Marine Corps was a way out. And let me tell you, even that story is amazing when you think about it for me. Because here's quickly, I'll tell you this. When I was 8 years old, they had the Augusta riots,
Mm-hmm.
and people were tearing up and burning things down and everything. And one of the incidents that happened for me that day was a white man with blonde hair and the most beautiful blue eyes I ever seen walked up to me, and I was smiling, and he spit in my face and called me the
Oh
N
man.
word. And now I had two grandmothers. One was like, "Oh God, hate all of those," and
Right.
the other was like, "Baby, you get to choose love."
Mm.
And I remember hearing that, but there was this anger in me and a fear now of white men with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Mm.
Fast forward a few months later, because we went to Philadelphia to see my uncle. He took me to the Naval Yard in Philadelphia, and they had a parade. It was really nice, and there was these really beautiful men in these blue pants, red stripes, dark blue coats, white gloves, white hats, and gold
Yeah.
in front. One of them came toward me. I was terrified
Mm.
because he had blonde hair and blue eyes. And he bent toward me just like the other one did. And he said, put his hand out, white glove. "Hello, little lady. What's your name?" He didn't spit in my face.
Right.
Beautiful blue eyes, blonde hair, but it was really cut short. He took his hat off, which I now know is a cover, and put it down. He bent down on my level and said, "What's your name?" And I told him I'm still hanging behind my uncle because I waited
Right.
for him to change any minute. But what this man did then is I was like, "What are you?" He says, "I'm a Marine." I said, "What do Marines do?" He said, "Well, little lady, they protect those who can't protect themselves." From that
Mm.
point on, Jody, I knew I was going to be a Marine.
Wow.
There was no doubt in my mind, because here's the contrast. One man with blonde hair and blue eyes was nothing but hate.
Right.
Another man with blonde hair and blue eyes was nothing but love. My grandmother said I have a choice. That was also the day I understood that the choices I make today will be the reality I live tomorrow, and I better choose wisely.
Mm.
So from 8 years old until the day I went into the Marine Corps at 17, 2 days after graduating from high school, I knew I had choices.
Yeah.
And I knew my choices would affect my future. And that's what I tell people when it comes to the tap in. You get to choose what your life is going to look like 30 days from now, 6 months from now, a
Yeah.
year from now, 5 years from now. But most of us live our lives as if we don't have a choice. Not
Yeah.
making a decision is a choice.
That is true. That is true. I talk about that a lot, the power of choice. Like every second of every day, we have the power of choice. And it's what we choose that dictates the outcome that we receive, right? I mean, I could have
Absolutely.
chosen not to do this podcast, right? I
Right.
mean, we can all have those choices. Like you were talking about before we started recording, how your day had kind of gone a little bit off, off. Look, yeah. And that's why I teach people to plan for the unexpected
Mhm.
because
It was
yes, we all
unexpected.
sometimes sleep in a little bit more than,
Mhm.
but you also talked about you kept the commitments to yourself that you had. Like I have non-negotiables now. I call them non-negotiables.
Mhm.
I'm gonna, you know what? And I don't care who thinks I'm selfish. I'm taking care of me first thing in the morning before I come to you because otherwise you don't want to be around me. And I
Same
know
here.
that now.
That daily routine is so important. Like we were talking before the broadcast started. When I got up this morning, I overslept, and I have a routine. I get up in the morning, you make your bed and everything. Then I work out, I do my journaling, I do my meditation. And this morning I got up way later than I was supposed to, and I had an 8 o'clock meeting that had to start. And I'm thinking, okay, what can I modify? What do I do? One thing I had said, I don't care what it is, I'm going to work out. So I literally just said, okay, I got up and I started my workout. I can do my meditation and journal later, but I said, nope, I'm gonna I did a little mini meditation, a little mini journaling, and then the rest of the time was left to work it out, which means I had 5 minutes before my broadcast started, and I went to my broadcast sweaty. And I said, hey guys, today you get me as I am, because
I
I have
love
a
it.
commitment to myself to make sure, because I also was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 1993.
Mm,
Physical fitness is real important to
yes, it
me,
is.
being able to do what I have to do. I also knew I had this podcast today. I had my ministry training today. Um, and I have several other meetings. If I did not get my workout done, this day would have been horrific for me.
Right.
So even though I had to show up in a way that I normally don't show up, nobody even missed a beat. And had I not told them, because I at least washed my face and stuff, nobody would have known. That's the beauty of
Exactly.
Zoom. People can't
Yeah, I
smell
know. I know. I know.
so
It is.
I had to let go of my own self and realize they
Yes.
can't smell you, girl. You wash your face, put
Yep.
on a dry top, and keep it going.
Yeah.
Because it is so important that, and then what happened was, when that class was over, I had 15 minutes before the next. I ran and jumped in the shower. And got looking as fabulous as I am now. So
Love
now
it.
I smell really good, lavender.
Y'all gotta go check out the video.
Yes, I'm looking good and I'm smelling good too. So we good. So I'm back on track, but I didn't have to give up what was important for me for my daily routine. I just had to slightly modify it. Oftentimes,
Yeah.
if we come up later, whatever, we just won't do. And I try to get my clients to say, make the shift. Maybe
Yes.
like I did, instead of journaling for 20 minutes like I did, I literally journaled for 5 minutes. I did a little 5-minute meditation.
Yep.
And then I spent the other 40 minutes working out, because
Yeah.
that was the thing that was going to give me the biggest bang for my buck for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so we make those kind of choices, because I understand it's consistency over time. Missing a workout wouldn't have been the worst thing for me.
Mm-mm.
But again, working out for me is a non-negotiable.
Yep.
That's one of the, and I'm gonna use that from now, because I'm
is.
committed to myself that
Yeah.
my morning workout, whatever it is, has to happen. And so those are the things that we have to do. It's about making choices, and when things don't go quite right, make the shift that will allow you to get the best outcome.
Yep. That's so good. That is so good. And that's, I mean, so for me, I had to modify, like my workouts are actually shorter now, but that's, it was easy for me to go work out and stuff like that. But then I was putting on the mask, right? So for
Right,
me,
right.
it's doing more with my mental health these days than anything, than my spiritual wellness and things like that. So yeah, you just have to keep showing up and just committing and keeping the commitments. And I tell people all the time, like, I'm not the most motivated, I'm not very disciplined. Actually, if you actually were around me all the time, you would see that. But what I tell people is, it's the outcome that I desire that keeps me going in everything that I do. And if we focus more on the outcome that we desire instead of how we feel in that moment, think about how much more we could accomplish.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's when you talk about that, about not being a motivation, I thought was a funny thing about myself. I said, I think I'm really basically lazy. And I say that because now I realize it's not that I'm lazy. I think I'm just, I'm lazy sometimes.
I could be. I'm telling you, if it wasn't for the fact, if I didn't have, like people counting on me, or I can't tell you I wouldn't be on the couch watching Netflix. I don't know.
But my laziness serves me. And it goes back to, I did something on my YouTube channel that talks about this, about time management and stuff. Because you know how if you have a cell phone, a lot of people have now, you got to unplug your cord to make sure you charge and take it with you, make sure you got a charger. You know what I did? I was like, I'm too lazy for that. I bought chargers and cords for every room in my house. So I can take my iPhone anywhere and charge, and I don't have to take a cord with me. So every room in my house has a charger in it. I never have to.
But you know what though? I don't think that's being lazy. I think that's just working smarter, not harder, right? Like, I mean, that's smart. That's a smart thing.
I have an upstairs and a downstairs vacuum. It's like I'm not gonna be searching for them. So if I can find a way to do it, so there's a lot of duplicates in my house, but they're all designed to make my life easier. Other people may think that's excessive. Right now, if you come out, I have a computer sitting here. There's one in my bedroom. My iPad's downstairs, so I can go in any one of my rooms and get connected. And they all have cameras. They all have booms, so I can do a podcast from just about any room in my house, except my bathroom.
That's so yeah. We might not want that. We won't even go there, right? Oh my goodness.
Well,
Brenda, this has been so amazing. I don't want to cut you off.
no, that's
I
good.
want to make sure that, we do this again because I just feel like there's so much alignment here. You and I are going to be connected on a bunch of stuff anyway. So you guys,
Yes.
everybody that's out there, make sure you stay tuned. Come to the platform, come to Convene Communities because we're going to be doing some really great things in there. All of us that are part of that platform. And Brenda's gonna have her stuff in there. I can't wait. I'll probably be in her course, as a matter of fact, because in that. But what you said this earlier, and it's when we're all lit up together, right? Like I've been on this kind of thing on this path too, where I'm like, if we would just work together on things, we could go a
Yeah.
whole lot further together, right? Like
Right,
I
right.
don't want to compete against you. I'm not going to compete against you because that's going to take a lot of energy out of me and I just don't want to.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
don't have
That's
to. No.
that's not what I need to do. So when we come together and that's what this platform is all about. So I'm definitely excited for that. Um do you have any kind of last words of encouragement for those who are out there? Maybe they're going through something. I think we've both gone through like some PTSD. You mentioned we didn't really get to touch on it, but I'm sure we can do that at another time. The MST, right? That's a whole
Mhm.
nother
Whole
subject.
nother subject. Mhm.
Um, and I've talked about this bringing baggage into the military where we thought we were going in to get away from it, right? But we bring it with us.
Bring it with
Definitely
us.
been there too. But as far as everything else, like you've been through this whole entire journey, and I mean, to sum it up in 40 minutes, that's just almost impossible, right? But you touched on some really great points today, and I really appreciate that. But what would you offer to anyone out there who's just they're where we've been, like you talked about
Mhm.
8 years, right? Like
Yeah.
what was that turning point for you? What was that? What made you say, okay, Brenda, it's time to get up? Because there's somebody out there that they're in that place too.
I would say the turning point was the belief that I could. See, I sat on the couch for 8 years because I thought I had no choice. I had
Mm,
forgotten that I had choices and I had forgotten that I mattered.
mm,
And until I mattered to myself, it didn't really matter what anybody else said. The first day I got out and walked in my driveway, I have an SUV. I could not even walk one lap around my SUV without panting and being out of breath. But
mm,
I came back the next day and I walked around that whole car. And then the next
mm.
day, 2 times around. Pretty soon, I was walking 5 miles in my driveway.
Love it.
So I
Oh
would
my
say it's
goodness.
one step at a time. The main thing is to remember you matter, that your life makes a difference. And I want everybody to think about what would be the impact if you were not here.
Mm,
Okay. And
mm,
then I want you to think about what is the impact when you begin to show up daily, every day. That's why I reframe my PTSD to plan to show up daily. I don't
mm.
have to,
I
I
love
don't have
that.
to go hour by hour, minute by minute. I just simply plan to show up daily. And then I practice hope. I help one person every day move
Yes.
outside of self and remember that I'm worthy, that I'm enough
Mm.
right here, just like I am, with all my flaws, all my anxieties, all my whatever is going on. I am enough.
Yes. Yes, you are. That's interesting too. There was a song that came on while I was at the gym this morning, and I literally played it about 10 times, and it was called I Am Enough. And
Yeah.
I sent it to a couple friends, and I said, listen to this. And it said that over and over, but we all need to hear that sometimes, and you guys look, if you are in that place, just remember you are enough. I write that down all the time because we all need the reminder. I have to remind myself too. You are enough. And like she said, like what would everybody's lives be like if you were not here? And in the moment, I mean, I've been in that moment too where it was just like, wait, but I mean, for me, the last time it was just like, well, what if my daughter found me first?
Yeah, that part. Joy, I just have to say, I want people to also remember life is choice driven. And that's why I
Yes.
say choose to live your life in the now. No opportunity wasted. Because
Yes.
it's a wasted opportunity when you don't play big and you don't let your light shine bright. And I just
Yes.
hope that anyone that's listening now know there is hope. You're not alone. Reach out because
Yes.
life is worth living.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And if you wake up every day, that means you're supposed to be here. So
Absolutely.
yeah, there's that. So, you guys, thank you again for tuning in. This has been another episode of Breaking Barriers Now. I'm your host, Jody Watkins. I've had the amazing Brenda Warren on today, the Soulutionist. Soul. I'm gonna have all her contact information, and just make sure if you're out there and you're, anywhere in your life where you're struggling or you just need someone to maybe provide that hope for you when you don't have it yet, that's okay. We've all been there. And you have people here that you can reach out to. So just make sure you take that step. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help because we've all had to do it. So break those barriers, but you don't have to break them by yourself. God bless you. And thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, go follow the podcast, and let's keep this going one person at a time.